A common trait I've started to pick up is that a lot of people think they're speaking Māori, but in reality they're speaking English and just using Māori words. And that's not a dig, and best believe I'm not immune to it, but it's just how language kind of works. Kia ora, no mai ki te haerenga. Welcome back to the Fleeing Ignorance podcast, and today we're talking about Te Reo Māori and why learning it is more than just learning words. So I'll just say in a little disclaimer, I'm certainly not fluent and I am no expert, but that's the point of this podcast, is we just dip our toes into lots of different topics in order to flee ignorance. So let's break it down, Structure over vocab. Most people start with a vocabulary, words, translations, but language isn't just words, it's structure. English works like this: subject, verb, object. Subject I, verb eat, object food. But Te Reo Māori works different. It's verb, subject, object. So for example, verb kei te kai, subject te ngeru, object I te kai. The cat is eating the food. Or another example, remembering our verb, subject, object, ka kai au I te kai. I'll eat the food. That might seem small, but it changes everything. You're not just swapping words, you're changing how you think. So the reason people speak Māori English is simple. It's how our brains are wired. When they take English structure and plug Māori words into it, it's because it's easier. Learning a new structure takes time and effort. I mean, the interesting thing that has been explained to me is you got to remember, I think in English as a native English speaker, and for a lot of people that aren't native Te Reo Māori speakers, they think in English as well. So you've got to go through the steps of thinking it in English, translating it in your brain, then saying it out loud. And that's one part of it, but then it gets a little bit bigger when we start talking about like the tourist language problem. And this is where it gets interesting. We've turned Te Reo Māori into something we visit, and often something that we don't live in. Using single words, kia ora, whānau, mana, used here and there, but not fully understood. It becomes symbolic, not functional. Māori words don't always translate directly, and that's another part of it. They carry ideas, relationships, and culture. Language shapes how you see the world. You're not just learning words, you're learning a way of seeing the world. Beyond just the sentence structure, there's also te ao Māori and the way Māori people perceive the world around them. So, best believe you got to remember that it wasn't just Te Reo Māori that was colonised and beaten out of it. It was also the way of Māori thinking. Yeah, and there's different aspects. So believe it or not, when you're speaking in Māori English, or however you want to say it, that directly relates to like old Māori world and the colonisation that did happen, and it's directly affecting the language that you use. This is not a dig to get anybody at anybody, and I know for sure that I use it, and I've come across it a lot when I was trying to write like a whaikuru or anything like that, and coming across people that are actually fluent in the reo. That a lot of the ideas that I wanted to translate into whatever I'm saying or speaking or writing, that they just wouldn't translate in the way I wanted to, and that's because I think from a Pākehā perspective, of course. I don't have the answers to this question. I think the only way you can get around it really is just live in te ao Māori, and dedicate your time. And it's important that, I guess the takeaway is important that you put emphasis on not just learning vocab and not just learning the sentence structure, but also learning the world and the people and everything that comes with it. So let's take the time to go over a couple sentences that you use in your day-to-day life. And if you're not familiar with them, I encourage you to write them down. And remember that we're focusing on that learning kupu first, then the sentence, and then expanding that into te ao Māori and thinking o whakaaro Māori. He aha tewa, what's the time? Ko te hauwhai ki te tekau mātahi te wā. The time is 11:15. Ko te haurua mai I te rima karaka te wā. The time is 5:30. Kua tai te wā ki te haere. It's time to go. He aha tā tāua kai. What are we eating? Kei te kai tāua I te hei. We, us two, are eating chicken. I pihia tō rā. How was your day? Kei te haere au. I'm on my way. Ka kiti anō au I a koe. I'll see you later. Kei hia taka waia. Where's my phone? Kei kōra tau waia. Your phone was over there. He aha te āhua o te rangi I te tēnei rā. What's the weather like today? Kei te whiti te rā. He rā tāhua tēnei. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful day. E ha tā tātou kai mō te hapa. What are we having for dinner? So yeah, learning Te Reo Māori isn't about memorizing words. It's about understanding structure, meaning, and perspective. If we're going to do it properly, we've got to go deeper than that surface level. He kōna rā. I'll see you in the next one.